There's a horrible limbo that a lot of men get stuck in during the separation process and even after divorce, but it's usually during separation. And it's this limbo of not knowing which direction they should be working on. Should they be fighting to save the marriage, or should they be trying to accept the divorce, let go, and move on with their lives? When the divorce is happening to you and it's something that you didn't choose, you didn't want it, that limbo can be so overwhelming and paralyzing. I talk to so many men. I'm a divorce coach for men going through unwanted divorces. So as you can imagine, most of the men that I talk to have at least experienced some degree of this limbo stage. And some guys really get stuck there because they don't want this. They want their wife back. They want their life back. They want their family together. They don't want this for themselves. They don't want this for their kids. They don't want it for their wife. They can see it's not a good choice for her either. And that's, really their job, right? Is to be the husband, the father, the provider, the protector. And so how can they just let this happen and not do everything they can to try to stop it? But then they do everything they can to try to stop it, and it doesn't work. And their wife is saying things like, there's no chance of us getting back together. I'm moving forward. I'm getting on with my life. Like, I don't want to be back together. I'm not coming back into this marriage. And even then, it's still not what he wants. And is there some way, is there some hope of getting the woman back that he used to know? Because this woman that's replaced her certainly doesn't seem like his wife. And then in some situations, it's even more confusing because sometimes she's hot and cold. Right? Sometimes she says things that are nice or seems like she still cares, or she feels bad for the pain that this is causing. Some guys have this really confusing feedback from her where she's not so clear cut. And honestly, it doesn't really matter for the limbo, you guys. Even if she is clear cut, for a lot of men, they can't stop fighting for it. Right? They want to give it every possible chance. And how do you know when there is no more chance? Right? So are you supposed to be working to save the marriage, or should you be trying to move on? And I often get on consultation calls with men in this situation. They're like, look, Rachel, I've heard about your program. I'm interested in Better Beyond Divorce, but I don't know if I'm getting divorced yet. Maybe there's still a chance to turn this around. So I don't feel like I can make a choice yet because I don't know which work I'm supposed to do. Is it the saving the marriage work? Is it the moving on work? It is the single biggest mistake that men make. Whether you want to save the marriage or move on, getting stuck in limbo is the worst thing you can do. The truth of the matter is that the work to save the marriage and to move on is exactly the same. It really, truly is. You guys, when you join my program or work with me, we don't sit down and say, okay, let's just detach from your ex-wife and unwire and completely let her go. It doesn't work that way. I've tried, trust me. When I first started working with divorced men, we tried just unwiring and letting go, but it doesn't work because there's things that you need to do first. You can only really let go and move on when you feel whole, when you're happy, when you're healed. But guess what, you guys? She's only going to come back if you're whole and happy and healed. Right? The only time I have the opportunity to see a lot of men reconcile with their wives during the separation process, after the divorce process. I've gotten to see it many times. It's very, very cool. I can tell you something, it never happens until he does the work on himself and is feeling whole and happy and calm. In fact, I have quite a few clients who have been really frustrated by this because they do that work. They get feeling really whole and confident and clear within themselves. And they're finally able to really accept that the divorce is happening and start to move forward. That's the moment that she says, whoa, who is this guy? He's magnetic, right? I want to find out more about this man. Where was he when we were married? And that's where reconciliation starts to happen. And sometimes for those men, they're like, come on, now I'm not sure I want it. Right now, I have to decide if I want to invest my energy in rebuilding a relationship with this woman. Has she done the work on herself to get to a place where this is a relationship that I want to be invested in? Regardless, if you're sitting there in limbo and wondering, am I trying to save the marriage or am I trying to move on? You're asking the wrong question. All that matters is, how do I get whole and happy? How do I find myself? How do I heal myself? How do I create a deep sense of confidence and peace from inside of myself? That is the only work you need to be thinking about right now. When that happens, when you've done that, either she'll want to rebuild a relationship with you, or you'll find that it's easier and very possible for you to naturally let go and move forward. So you don't need to work on letting go and moving on, and you do not need to work on saving the marriage. In fact, if you work on saving the marriage, you're probably going to mess it up. You're going to do the wrong things if that's your focus, because if you haven't done that work on yourself to feel whole and happy, you're going into that relationship in a transactional way. Even if you don't want to be, you're going after it because you need it, because you can't be without this marriage, because you don't know who you are without this marriage. That's not an unconditionally loving relationship. That's a codependent relationship based on need, and it's not going to work. The marriage you had is over. Whether she's saying, I'm absolutely out and there's no way I'm coming back, or even if she's hot and cold and back and forth, it doesn't matter. The marriage you had is done. She doesn't want to go back to what it was, and if you're really honest with yourself, I bet you probably don't want to go back to it exactly as it was either. So knowing that that marriage is over, all that matters now is getting yourself whole, happy, confident. That's where the work is. Don't think about moving on. Don't think about saving the marriage. Focus on creating wholeness within yourself. Then the path forward will become clear, because either she'll want to re-engage with you, or you'll find yourself naturally letting go and moving forward. And this work is powerful, you guys. This is one of my clients who reconciled. He doesn't call it reconciliation. He calls it marriage 2.0. He said because it is a completely new relationship that he's building with his wife. And one of the comments that he wrote in my community recently, he said, I just wanted to respond as I went from 1,000% divorce, no way she was ever changing her mind, to being in marriage 2.0 with her. I don't say reconciled because I didn't want to reconcile marriage 1.0. I wanted to start new. My wife actually wrote Rachael Sloan a thank you email. I only say that as it's more evidence that BBD works. This work of healing yourself, of becoming whole, of becoming complete, of finding deep confidence and happiness inside of you is worth doing. There's nothing to wait for. And if you wait, all that you're doing is guaranteeing that you're going to be stuck in more of the same. Not doing that work is why you're here now. And if you want to be somewhere else, and I know that you do because that limbo is so painful, if you want to be somewhere else, this is the path forward. Start taking action to become more whole, to become healthy, to become happy deep within yourself. And trust that either moving on or saving the marriage will flow from that. And now I know you're asking like, okay, Rachael, so how do I do it? How do I get whole? How do I get healthy? How do I get happy inside of myself so that either I become magnetic to my wife and she wants to be back with me, or I'm able to naturally let go and move forward? Well, the answer to that is very individual and personal. It depends on where you are in the healing process. And the truth is you might actually be further along than you think. It really depends on what you've been doing, what's going on inside of you. So there's 6 key areas that we need to check in with, 6 key areas for healing. And I've actually created a divorce recovery quiz. It's completely free. And when you take the quiz, what it's going to do is it's going to give you a score in each of those 6 areas so that you can assess really where you're at in these different sections. And what we're looking for is to get up to a high score in all 6 areas. And that's the place, like when you're there, that's where you're going to be magnetic. That's where you're going to feel really comfortable and confident moving forward in either direction. And once you take the quiz and you've got your score in each of these areas, you're going to know exactly where your work is. And then I follow up with you at the end of the quiz. You get a free recommendation based on your answers and where you're at in each of the 6 areas. I give you specific tools, exercises, and next steps to take to move through that healing process so that we have a really strategic step-by-step path to getting you to a high score in all 6 areas so that you can break free from this limbo and really move forward with your life in one direction or the other. So please go ahead and take that free divorce recovery quiz and then follow through. So at the end of the quiz, you're going to get these steps and recommendations from me. It's taking action on those things. That's where the healing's really going to happen. So please don't put this off, right? The marriage you had was over, and you do not need to know if you're going to save the marriage or get divorced. You don't need that information to start healing yourself. What you need to do is get whole, get happy, get healthy, get confident, and then the path that's open to you will unfold. So go ahead and take the divorce recovery quiz. Please don't put it off any longer. Let's get you out of this limbo. All right, guys, I'll see you in the quiz. The link is in the video description below.
It's going to be a roller coaster. You're going to have ups and downs. You're going to cycle from one emotion to the next, and you're going to come back and forth again. It's going to happen, but just hang in there, push through. Don't try to fight it. Let it happen. Get through the emotions. Let them cycle through. And eventually you're going to get to a point where the emotions no longer control you. You can have a thought about your ex. It won't consume you all day long.